Hey guys, this is Deanne with Hope Point Mayo. I wanted to just discuss today a little about sleep, things that you can do to help you sleep better. I'm gathering all this information from just things that I have learned over the years through my husband, who is a sleep tech, and things that he has shared with me, as well as different podcasts I've listened to that I have found personally helpful, along with my training that I've done. I've listened to different speeches given from people who have specialized in sleep, specifically one who got into it because he was studying Alzheimer's and started finding a relationship there, as well as just, again, my own personal experience and what I've learned. But several things to mention is one of the things that's important to be able to sleep well is to be able to breathe through our noses. And that's what, as myofunctional therapists, our goal is to not be breathing through our mouths, because mouth breathing is stress breathing and we're over breathing, but it also is sleep apnea related. It always leads to sleep apnea in the future. And so trying to prevent that now, if we're not already into that mode, but even trying to reverse the mouth breathing and the snoring, there are several things that we want to do, but that's breathing through our noses. Sometimes for some, it's hard to not breathe through, or to breathe through our noses at night because it's stopped up. And that's what we're going to start with, is just things that we can do to help unclog our nose so that we can breathe through our noses. So one of the things that some people do is use nasal rinses. There's the NeoMed, there's Neti Pot, there's all kinds of things out there for doing nasal rinses, and you can watch videos on how to do that. But I will add, if you do that, don't use tap water, because there can be amoeba in the tap water that can be brain eating and can be deadly. So you want to use distilled water, or specific water that they mention on the packet for the nasal rinses. Make sure you do that. You also want to use warm water, because cold water and hot water just hurts. I know from experience. So warm water is best. But for some, just doing a nasal rinse every night before bed, I know personally it just helps clear everything up. And then when you're sleeping through the night, it's kind of like brushing your teeth at night before going to bed. When you wake up the next morning, your teeth, if you don't brush them, that bacteria just eats on your teeth and in your mouth throughout the night on everything that's in there. And for your nasal cavity and sinus cavity and all that, you've breathed in all these things throughout the day. And for some, it's worse than others, like farmers who are out on the field or in like crops doing things like that, or people who just work at jobs where there creates a lot of dust and a lot of things that can get in there. It really is ideal to cleanse that out at night before going to bed. And so that's not always building up and building up for your body to have to deal with. So doing a nasal cleansing or nasal rinsing in the evenings is a great idea. You can also, for some who are especially have a lot of going on with allergies and things, you could even do it in the morning as well, or during the day if you need to do that. For some also, they'll do nasal strips. You can find those at the store at Walmart or wherever. And it's just a strip that goes over your nose and kind of creates pressure. And it just kind of helps this feel open and be more open, so that breathing through your nose, you're just getting a little more air in than what you would get through your mouth, because your mouth hopefully is closed. Another device that they make are nasal dilators that you just kind of put in your nostrils, and it kind of opens those up. I know those that are at Amazon. I haven't looked at Walmart for those, but nasal dilators are good for those who feel like they need that. For others, they have these sticks. They're called, well, one brand is called a Boom Boom stick, and it looks like a chapstick, looks like a tube of chapstick. And you just put it in your nose and you breathe in, or put it in one nostril, and then you put it in the other nostril and breathe in. And it has essential oils, and it just kind of dilates everything in there. I think there's a vapor one, like Vicks VapoRub, that kind of idea. They also have those in the stick that you can use. I know for me, in the middle of the night, my right nostril always gets stopped up. It's totally clogged in the night, and then when I wake up in the morning. So sometimes when I get up to use the restroom in the night, I will have that on my way, and I'll just do inhale, and then go back to bed. And that does tend to help. So that's an option, not just through the night, but even through the day if you have issues with getting some clogging going on. One thing that is helpful could be an air purifier in your room, so that it keeps any allergens there that you're breathing all night from getting into your nose and clogging up. But just having an air purifier, I know for us, or if you have a bedroom with older carpet that has gathered all those allergens over the years, then it it could be beneficial from that. For some, you might have to go extreme and just getting carpet out of your room and using or having hardwood floors so that it can not hold that in. It's also essential to wash your bedding regularly. For most, doing weekly could be enough. For some, you might have to do twice a week if you have severe allergies to like dust mites and those things. They do say it helps actually also if you shower at night instead of in the morning, because at night you've got all those dead skin cells that are sloughing off onto your sheets and things, and that just gives the dust mites more to eat. And so if you're able to shower at night, it kind of keeps them cleaner longer. So for those that's feasible for, that's an ideal situation too. You also want to have your pillow to not be like never ever washed. I know you can like put those in the deep freeze for a period of time, and that kills dust mites on them. You could probably throw it in the dryer at high temperatures. You could look that up and see. That can kill any dust mites. Some will put allergy pillowcases over and just regularly wash those. I know I have a certain pillow that I can wash it in and of itself and dry it, so that's what I try to do regularly. So just keeping your bedding very clean continually is ideal at helping your nose not get clogged and helping you breathing through your nose, because again, that's the goal. So that covers, for the most part, this is not an exhaustive video. There's so many things out there, but that can cover the hygiene portion of just trying to keep our noses clear and being able to keep our mouths closed. Now, for some of us, we just naturally open our mouths at night when we're breathing. And one of the things, now that we've got our nasal passageway cleared, to keep our mouths closed is by putting tape on. They make mouth tape. I know you can find that at Walmart. You can find that everywhere these days. They have the kind where it's like a rectangle and then a slit in the middle. That's an option. And if you're a man with a beard and a mustache, they actually make some that's for that too. For me, I've mentioned this before, but I use 3M tape. That's a micropore surgical tape. It's a whole lot cheaper. I don't have a beard and mustache though, so it's not ideal for that, maybe, unless you just put it right on your lips, which it is strong enough to do that. But I just take a little piece and I put it right here, just small, and I push it on my lips, and that way I can still talk with it on there. And I have a backup if I wake up gasping for air, which I have done that once when I had the whole thing over my mouth. But with that, I have an emergency backup. And that can just help. And it doesn't just help for us in breathing through our noses, but I also tell patients this: when we're mouth breathing all night and your gums in this area are red or puffy a lot, or your teeth are kind of have white spots on them, that can be from mouth breathing all night, because it's really bad for our oral cavity to be breathing air all night. It's made to be wet, and that's what protects it and keeps it functioning properly. So it's not just good for our health overall as far as breathing and stuff, but it's really good for your teeth and your gums also to be breathing with your lips closed. So that's how mouth tape can help that as well. So that has to do with the hygiene for us, things we can do on that. Things that I have learned from my husband is he mentioned that cool temperatures are actually the best to sleep in, which that can be hard if you don't have an air conditioner or you live in a country where there is no air conditioning. But he said 66 degrees is ideal. Of course, that varies per person. I know for me, I love to snuggle up under covers, and I actually like to have one right on my head. So for me, it's like, yeah, that's great. But just, you can play around with it. But there is a temperature that is kind of ideal for the body to be resting, and it can just kind of relax and not worry about being cold or worry about being hot. If it was 66 and I didn't have a warm blankie, I would definitely be cold. But just trying to maintain that and maintain a temperature there, consistent temperature there. Something else he mentioned is a consistent schedule. You want to try to go to bed at the same time, approximately same time, and wake up the same time the next morning. He has said and you can research this, but the amount of sleep, average amount of sleep that adults should be getting is about 7 to 9 hours. If we're getting less than that, some people have told me I can get 5 or 6 and I do just fine. And maybe you're one of those people, but it's very rare. You want to get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and you want them to be consistent. I know for some people, there's like just a rhythm, a clock that works well for them. I know for me, going to bed at 10 and getting up at 6 a.m., there's just something about that time. It's like, that works for me. If it was 11 to 7, it doesn't work great, but thankfully that also works for my schedule. So just be consistent with your time. If you have to stay up really late, he has said it is better to get up at your normal time. It's better for your rhythm, better for your body to get up at the normal time, even if that's cutting yourself short some sleep and then maybe taking a little nap if you need. And I'm going to insert my own personal from this. I used to think taking an hour nap was like, this is great, I can get an hour nap, but I know when I wake up, I'm feeling miserable. And I've learned with the stages of sleep, it's because when you're in there for an hour, you're getting into a deeper stage of sleep. So when you come out of that, it's very hard for your body and your mind to reorient back where you are. But if you get like 15 minutes of a power nap, you're not going into that deep sleep, but you've gotten enough to take off the edge for the day. And that can be a really good thing. So if you have to take a nap, maybe just do a quick 15-minute, go into that very light sleep or stage 2 sleep, enough to take off the edge, and then come back up, and then you should be able to still get to sleep the next or that night. If you take a really long nap in the day, then you're probably not going to be able to, or you're going to struggle to get to bed or to sleep that night. So just being consistent with your schedule and try to stick with that, even if it means getting less sleep during the day. And he said, even if you can't take a nap, it's better to wake up the next morning the normal time and go to bed earlier than the next night to try to make up. But don't say, well, I went to bed really late, so I'm going to sleep until 10 in the morning when you're used to getting up at 6. You're actually doing more harm than good in that. One of the things, and we talked about just clearing out our noses and things, but there is something just in our rhythms that our bodies have, and even producing the melatonin that we need. Naturally, we produce that. I have learned or heard that if we take too much of a lot of people are taking that these days to relax us, that your body starts relying on that instead of making its own. So you don't want to overdo that. But your body will naturally make that. And one of the things is just the rhythm. And I think about this a lot. Now that we have electricity, everything is just bright all the time. We have phones, all these things that are just constantly at us. But whenever there wasn't electricity, I mean, people would go out and they would farm and do their thing, and then the sun would go down and they might have a candle, and it's still part of just the rhythm of getting your body ready to fall asleep. And so not having blue light right before bed, I think they've recommended maybe an hour, just kind of taking the blue light off of your phone, and there's a way to adjust that to make it, on some phones anyway, to make it where you're not getting that blue light. And just going low-key on the electronics is ideal, and definitely not having one, like looking at it right before bed or laying in bed. That's not ideal. And then just starting to dim the lights around you. And if you're in the living room, anything like that, just in the evening, just start dimming the lights, because it's basically triggering your mind and your body. It's like, okay, it's starting to get ready for sleep, and then everything, the hormones and all that will start triggering that, getting you ready to go to sleep. And especially if you get into the rhythm of that and your schedule, then that will help you to start getting into that rhythm and your body being prepared that now it's time to go to sleep. Another thing that I've learned is, this was very interesting when I learned this from somebody, but as we get older, whenever we have a lot of sugar, when we're younger, it's like we have that sugar, we have that spike, and then our body's able to take care of that sugar pretty quickly, our blood sugar levels. But as we get older, I think that the process tends to slow down. And for me, my favorite dessert is ice cream. And specifically, my dad and I, before bed, would have Bluebell ice cream, cookies and cream. Bluebell. It's my absolute favorite. And I wouldn't have any problems. I'd eat it, I'd go to bed, I'd be out. Well, now, if I have ice cream, and we don't have Bluebell up here, unfortunately, but if I have ice cream before bed, I may fall asleep quickly because I'm so tired, but I do not sleep well. I toss and turn. And so what I have learned is that when we eat, especially as we get older, our blood sugar will spike when it's a high sugar. But then instead of, our body's taking care of it quickly, it stays up, the level stays up, and it takes a really long time for it to go down. And so while we're sleeping, it's still trying to go down, but we're still dealing with that. Our body's processing and all those things. And honestly, the same is for caffeine. And so for caffeine, they say you shouldn't have that after like noon anyway, because it has the effect in your body, and then it has a half-life and all these things, and it takes a while to get out of your system. And even if you think caffeine doesn't bother me, it's still working back there. It's still a stimulant, and it's still going on. So it's better to not have caffeine after noon. And for some, they think, well, I can't function without it, but you should be able to. If you can get in these rhythms, your body will get in that rhythm, and you should be able to make it without the caffeine. But as far as the sugar goes, I'm not saying you can't have sugar in the evening, but what I have learned to do is if you have sugar, then it's better to do something active. For me, I will get up and I'll walk my dog. It's like, now I know if I'm going to have dessert, I've got to do something to burn the energy to take my blood sugar spike down by exerting more energy. So if I have a dessert, I try to not have it 2 hours before I go to bed. And then also to do something, walk my dog. That's just what I do. I have a recumbent bike. I thought, well, if I need to, I'll get on that, which I'll probably have to do when it starts getting very cold outside and dark. But just doing something to take that blood sugar down by doing something active, even if it's like 15 to 20 minutes, then that is ideal. Now, on that subject of activity, exercising during the day or just being active is immensely beneficial for sleeping at night. If we're at a desk job all day and we're not able to do a whole lot, then it's harder for our bodies to sleep well and to sleep deep. But if we can do something that's like 30 minutes a day that's just very active, that can tremendously help for our bodies to sleep better at night. For women, hormones do play a role in just our cycle of sleeping. And for that, I can't tell you what to do. It is what it is. Just know that there may be times where just once a month or, a few nights a month, you're just not sleeping well, and that's just the way it's going to be. So, again, on a personal note, for me at night, a way to help me to go to sleep is I will lay in bed and I will take 3 deep breaths in and out. And I'll just show you the way I do that. I just take a deep breath in as big as I can and just expanding absolutely every square inch of my lungs that I have. So I breathe in as big as I can, just kind of like I'm straight, like a big stretching as big as I can with my lungs. And then I blow out, hold it for just a little bit, and then I push it all out, like trying to get every square inch out of it that I can. And then I do it again. And this whole time, making sure to do it only through the nose. And there are times when I do that, I'm trying to, when I'm breathing in, I'm trying to fill in my belly. You want to fill and make sure your belly's coming up, not your chest. I feel like I can't do that possibly standing up, maybe someday, but right now I have to lay down and do it. But I try to feel my belly rise, and then I try to push it all out, and then I do that 3 times. There are times by the 3rd one, if I feel like I'm doing it right, I really do feel everything just kind of relax. And the reason why is because with the belly, whenever you're belly breathing, you're triggering that vagus nerve around the diaphragm, and the vagus nerve just triggers the hormones for the rest and digest. It just kind of triggers things to calm down. And so for me, like having that busy, hectic schedule all day and just my mind goes all the time, when I can do that, it just kind of calms everything. It's like, again, setting your body like, okay, it's time to sleep. Now, the problem with that is sometimes I'll do that and that's great, but my mind's like just going. And so I'm trying to make it habit too. Along with that is I just release everything. I start at the top of my head, just thinking about my muscles, and I just start releasing every single muscle all the way down. And when I can do that and stay focused, I'm generally asleep before I even get to my shoulders. There are times though when I start, it's like, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that, and my brain just starts going. It's like, no. Focus, and breathe deep and just relax. My head all the way down to my toes. And that has helped me, along with all these other things, just combining them, doing that. Now, lastly, for me personally, you can just dismiss this if you don't like it, but there is a verse that popped up today, and I thought this is perfect. It's Psalm 4, verse 8. It says, "In peace I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety." And just there is essential. I mean, you can't sleep well if your mind isn't at peace. And just being able to take that and just, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety, and just like, I can trust you with everything. And that made me think of a verse that's been very instrumental in my life, and that's Isaiah 26, verse 3. It says, "You keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you, O Lord." And so just staying my mind on Christ and trusting in him, and then I can be at peace, and then I can sleep because I have peace. But I hope this is helpful for some of you guys. Sorry it's long, but I hope it can be a help. Thanks. Bye.